between Roy and Sunset. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more from Roy.
UDOT tells me this sinkhole formed from a drainage issue around a pipe running underneath the freeway. They think all the heavy rain in this area the last couple of days washed away the road-based sediment around that pipe. For now, they're installing a temporary fix, which I'm told should last long enough for them to do a permanent fix later this summer when they plan to shift I-15 again as part of their 5600 South construction.
UDOT says the drainage work that they are doing is part of construction that should help prevent this from happening again. People in Pineview will be without water for part of next week as crews work to replace the water line. Pineview Water System says that they'll be shutting off the water to people around 2900 North and 600 East to 2600 North and 7th East. The next state superintendent has been narrowed down to two finalists, Dr. Ben Dalton and Dr. Molly Hart. Ryan Bartlett with the Utah Board of Education says the search was national. Both candidates have a history in Utah's education system.
Their longstanding commitment to Utah schools and communities, that was a key factor also in getting to this stage in the process.
Bartlett says the decision will be made after a public meeting on the 21st where members of the Board of Education interview the finalists. Our top national stories this hour from ABC News. President Trump's tax policy proposal may be in trouble.
Several Republicans say the big, beautiful bill still needs work. 5 of them voted against advancing the measure in the House Budget Committee. South Carolina's Ralph Norman says it doesn't cut enough.
I'm tired of smoking mirrors.
Further complicating matters for House Speaker Mike Johnson, GOP moderates opposed the bill, saying it doesn't do enough to restore the state and local tax deduction. Facing a self-imposed Memorial Day deadline for passage in the House, Johnson will need to achieve near unanimity in his conference to get the measure into the Senate. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
The attorney for victims of 2 Boeing 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019 says the Department of Justice is denying that they have a tentative deal in place with the airplane maker. As news broke about a possible Boeing deal, attorney Mark Lindquist says he was sitting in a room with the Justice Department and family members of victims killed on board.
DOJ is denying that a deal has been made.
A deal would mean Boeing avoids trial next month. Family members settled a civil lawsuit against Boeing in April. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by more than 300 points, up 0.75%, sitting at 42,635. S&P is up by 36, and the NASDAQ is up by 83 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are looking so much better on southbound I-15 from Ogden all the way into Clearfield. All lanes are open from the earlier emergency roadwork and delays have cleared. However, we still have residual southbound 89 delays that go from just before the Walmart down to I-84. The secret to healthy, thriving plants is great soil. Oakdale Farms Organic Compost is a game changer for your veggie garden. Flower beds and trees, Oakdale Farms Organic Compost at oakdale.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Looks like we still have a good chance of showers headed into the weekend. 50% chance tomorrow, 80% chance on Sunday. Right now, 61 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you thought politics were slowing down right now, no elections at the moment, no legislative meetings, etc., think again. Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. State Party Convention season kicks off tomorrow with the Utah Republican Party Convention at Utah Valley University. There are several things to watch out for with their get-together and a few things to watch for when the Democrats meet later this month. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp spoke with KSL.com political reporter Bridger Biel-Svetko to get to the heart of the story.
First off, Bridger, can you talk to me a little bit about the purpose of party conventions? Why do we do them? What are they meant to do in the first place?
Yeah, so they hold conventions every year. In even-numbered years, the primary purpose is to nominate candidates to run and represent the party from offices ranging from, state legislative races all the way up to governor and senator. This year, in an off year, they hold what's called an organizing convention where they elect party officials to lead the party for the next couple of years, and they'll also weigh in on proposed changes to the party constitution and bylaws, kind of setting the party platform and the party vision for the next 2 years.
What are some of the big things that you're going to be watching that other people should be watching as well at the GOP convention tomorrow?
Yeah, the big race is for the party chairman, like I just mentioned, to lead the party, kind of be the face of the party itself over the next couple of years. This year, the current chairman, the incumbent Rob Axon, he's running for another term. He's facing a challenger from Phil Lyman, who listeners might remember as a state lawmaker, who also challenged Governor Spencer Cox for the governorship last year and lost in that race. But his next move is trying to lead the Utah Republican Party itself. So that's probably the big kind of top-line race. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of bylaw changes and constitutional amendments possibly coming up. Again, this is just for the party, not for the state or anything, but the major constitutional amendment that they're considering would effectively kick people out of the party if they gather signatures gather signatures to qualify for the ballot instead of just going through the caucus convention system.
So I want to first circle back to the Axon versus Lyman race. As you've been looking into this and as people have been kind of talking in preparation for the convention tomorrow, what are the big platforms that Axon is running on versus Lyman? What are their messages to the delegates of why they should lead the party and how they want to take the party into whatever direction that might be in the future?
Yeah, it's an interesting race because they're both, fairly conservative. It's not a case where you have, kind of a conservative wing versus a more moderate person. I think they both consider themselves fairly conservative, and they both really view the party itself as an important institution within the state. But they kind of approach that a little bit differently. So talking to Rob Axon, he emphasized that the party is the second largest organization in the state in terms of membership behind the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He kind of wants it to be an open kind of a big tent party, wants to take input from a lot of different people, sees the role not just representing the party, but because of the dominance of the party within the state, really sees the party as representing all Utahns, whether or not they agree with the party platform or are members, just because of its position. Phil Lyman also sees the party as an important institution, but he sees the party as having kind of taken a back seat to probably what he would call special interest, or different kind of institutions within the state, whether it be political leaders or kind of social leaders. And he has said he would like the party to be a little more aggressive. He called it the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and wants it to flex its muscle a little bit more. So he, I think, would take a more aggressive, perhaps a more confrontational approach in state politics, maybe pushing back on issues or things where he thinks even elected Republicans aren't towing the party line in the way that he would like them to.
Gotcha. And then the second part that you would mention on the proposed constitutional amendment just for the Republican Party constitution. So like you said, this is nothing to do with the full state, but just within the party, that they would potentially kick out candidates who gather signatures instead of going the caucus convention route. Do we know who's proposing this, or how does that work in the convention on who proposes it? And do you know anything about support for this proposal?
Yeah, so it's being sponsored by Arnold Gaunt. He's a member of the party. Different people can kind of sponsor different bylaw changes or constitutional amendments. To be honest, I have not spoken with enough delegates to be confident in making a prediction either way, how this might go. It's something that Republicans have delegates specifically have kind of long had their eye on. Listeners probably know about SB 54 that in 2014 created the dual path to the primary ballot, where people can collect signatures, or they also can go through the caucus convention system. That's enshrined in state law right now. So that kind of supersedes any party policies that they put forward. Republicans have tried this in the past. I think in 2015, they adopted kind of a similar policy that ultimately led to lawsuits and was overturned by the state Supreme Court, who said that in order to be a qualified political party, they have to allow candidates to have the option of using both paths. So even if this does pass tomorrow, I think that it's probably safe to say there will be lawsuits and potentially some litigation before this fully plays out.
That's going to be super interesting to watch. Especially as you look at how the parties operate in the state government, and kind of the relationship between those. I know if I, for one, I'm going to be very interested in how that turns out. As we're wrapping up this kind of conversation, we've talked a lot about the Republicans because their thing is this weekend. We can't obviously forget about the Democrats. They have their party convention coming up the end of this month, May 31st in Ogden. What are some of the things that they're looking to do at their convention?
Yeah, again, like the Republican Party, they have a big race for who's going to lead the party next. Right now, their current party chairwoman is not running again, so they will have a leadership change at the top of the party. The big name in that race is Brian King. He's also a former state lawmaker who ran as a Democrat for governor last year. So you have people who ran for governor on both sides, trying to lead their respective parties. He's also running against Archie A. Williams III, a party member who's run several times for congressional office, along with Jonathan Lopez and Ben Peck. I have not dived into this race as much yet since it's further out, but that's the big race to watch on the Democratic side. As far as what else to watch that day, I think just this week we learned that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is going to be speaking at the Democratic convention. He's been very outspoken against President Donald Trump. A lot of people see him as a potential presidential candidate in 2028. So he's been very, very vocal within the Democratic Party in trying to lead a resistance against Donald Trump. And I know Democratic delegates are going to be excited to hear a chance to hear from him, maybe get some advice on how the party can try to outperform what they've done in previous years here in Utah.
All right. Bridger, appreciate you taking some time to talk to me. I mean, for us political nerds, there's a lot still going on, even if it's a bye year, if, the legislature's over, lots still going on. So thanks for breaking that all down for us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andy.
That was Midday Executive Producer Andy Cupp speaking with KSL.com political reporter Bridger Beal-Svetko. Andy joins me live in studio to share a few other thoughts. And Andy, besides what you spoke about with Bridger, what other things are you going to be looking at?
Maria, I am really interested in the order and the timing of things at this convention. So as you might recall and our listeners might recall, there were a lot of hiccups last year when it came to credentialing and registration for the Republican convention. And then the convention ran all day and well into the night. Now, granted, there were a lot of candidates who were running, so there was a lot more that they had to get through that time around in 2024. But I'm very interested to see if the registration system got the kinks ironed out and kind of see where that goes from there.
Your description of yourself, a political nerd?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. For those listeners who used to listen to Inside Sources, I mean, that was my bread and butter, politics. Take it any day.
And they'll notice that you are doing politics on this show as well.
As much as I can.
All right. Thanks, Andy. The Republican State Organizing Convention is tomorrow at the UCCU Center at Utah Valley University. Credentialing begins at 7:30 in the morning, and the full convention will begin at 10:30. We'll be tracking the convention throughout the day, and you can too. Just go to kslnewsradio.com, or you can find us on social media for updates throughout the day. When we come back, we'll dig into the latest jobs numbers for the state. Is Utah still outpacing the nation in job growth? We'll give you the answer. But first, KSL traffic brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We still have leftover residual delays southbound on Highway 89 in Weber County, going from before Skyline down to the I-84 junction. Now, this is all the people who were trying to avoid the southbound I-15 delays with the emergency road work. And we also had some unusual slowing southbound I-15 approaching 90th South. Traffic starting to move again in Sandy, but also busy in that area. UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead for daytime lane closures on US 89 on both ends of Logan Canyon, Monday through Friday through May, as crews work to improve broadband access. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Jeff Caplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Caplan every day. He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Caplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Caplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
It's hard to believe, but summer's right around the corner. Make sure your home stays cool with a brand new air conditioner and get a free furnace for next winter. That's right. When you purchase the premium air conditioner or heat pump from Whipple Service Champions, you'll get a brand new furnace absolutely free. You just pay for the labor to install. This deal won't last long. Schedule your free estimate today. Book online at whipplethataway.com. whipplethataway.com.
Summer is right around the corner.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Today is a new day.
And a big day for you.
Why? Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
Soda Weight Loss has one goal, and that's to help you let go of the weight for good.
So I lost 25 pounds. I was never hungry. It was very, very easy. I couldn't believe how fast the weight came off.
Now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Hurry. Savings won't last long.
Let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Thanks for being here. Good news on the jobs front here in the state. Jared Mendenhall with the Department of Workforce Services joined Utah's Morning News just minutes after the numbers dropped.
The numbers are looking really good. One of the things we've been bragging about around the office for the last month was that U.S. News and World Report piece that came out and said Utah was the best state in the nation to live in. And the strength of Utah's economy is one of the reasons it is such a good place. And the April 2025 numbers reflect that growth. We had 2.1% job growth. That's about 36,000 new jobs. And the unemployment rate held at that 3.1% rate. Compared to the national side, the national unemployment rate was 4.2% and job growth was only 1.2%. So these are really, really good numbers. The biggest growth was in that health and education sector. We had about 14,400 new jobs there, and then followed by construction with about 7,200 jobs, and then manufacturing increased by about 3,600 jobs. We'd love to see like health and education and manufacturing. Those are good middle-class jobs. And then we did see a slight cutback in trade, transportation, utility, where we lost about 2,300 jobs, and then just light losses in leisure and hospitality of 400 jobs. And then the catch-all other services category lost about 200 jobs. One of the things that we watch is the initial unemployment claims. And what we're seeing in those initial unemployment claims right now is that they're right at where we would expect them to be historically. Now, we did see a temporary increase in initial unemployment claims in late February and early March, and that reflected some of those federal worker layoffs. But that bump was brief, and both initial and continued unemployment claims have returned to levels that we would expect to see at this time of the year.
Again, Utah outpacing the nation when it comes to job growth, but Utah is still feeling unsure about the economy. U.S. consumer sentiment fell for the fourth month straight. It's the lowest it's been since summer 2022 when inflation peaked at 9%. The Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute says it's because of tariffs. We could see a big change this month as the pause on retaliatory Chinese tariffs go into place. In national news this morning, President Trump's big, beautiful bill hit a bit of a snag. It failed in the House Budget Committee amid objections from hardliners. 16 lawmakers supported it, but 21 voted against it, and that includes several Republicans. ABC's Allie Pecorin joins us from Capitol Hill with the latest. And Allie, why did some Republicans vote against this?
Yeah, it was a pretty astounding moment to watch, especially after that message from President Trump being very clear that he wanted his Republican members to get in line on this bill. But ultimately, we saw 5 Republicans cast no votes against this bill, mostly stating concern that this bill did not exact strict enough cuts to the budget to offset the cost that it's going to be to extend the 2017 tax cuts. So what this bill mainly does is extend the 2017 tax cuts out so that people who are getting tax breaks can continue to get them after the tax cuts expire in 2025. In order to do that, it costs money, right? The government would be taking in less money if there's a tax cut. So what Republicans want, who are particularly concerned about the deficit, is they want to make sure that that money is getting recouped somewhere else. And that usually happens by making big cuts to the federal budget in other areas. Well, what these Republicans were saying today is that they don't think this bill does enough to make those cuts, and they blocked it from advancing because of it.
Where would they like those cuts to be made?
So one of the big things that we're talking about is Medicaid work requirements here. So the bill as it's currently drafted would implement work requirements for people without children, able-bodied people without children, to benefit from the program. The issue that a lot of these Republicans are having is that right now, as it's drafted, those work requirements, they don't go into effect until 2029, which would be after President Trump leaves office. And some of these Republicans are concerned that if a Democrat candidate took office, or even a different Republican candidate, they could reverse course on those work requirements, and then the tax cuts would already be in place, but you wouldn't be recouping the money from implementing those work requirements. So they want those work requirements bumped on up earlier so they can make sure that that doesn't happen.
You mentioned a message from the president. What kind of pressure is the president putting on those lawmakers?
Yeah, one of the things that is interesting about President Trump's style as president is that he's gotten really into the nuts and bolts of lawmaking. And we've seen him exact pressure on lawmakers by placing phone calls to them while they're standing on the House floor right before big votes. Today, he's on his way back from the Middle East, where he was there for a few days, meeting with leaders in the Middle East. And he took to his social media platform, Truth Social, today with this pretty specific message. He said, we do not need, quote, grandstanders in the Republican Party, and then urged his members to stop talking and get it done. So that was the message that Trump was giving to these guys today. In spite of that fact, we had many Republicans say, we don't mind the messaging. We're still not comfortable voting for this thing. Now, the members that cast no votes today, the Republicans, I should say, have committed to working through the weekend in hopes of reaching some sort of agreement that they can get behind. And so we're expecting this committee to try it again late Sunday night and see if they can move this thing forward.
Yeah, since the president is traveling, has he had a chance to respond to what happened today?
We haven't heard him respond to the vote going down quite yet, although this was pretty recent. This bill just got voted down about 2 hours ago. So we haven't heard from him yet, though I'm sure some of those members have. We'll have to wait and see exactly what response he has and when he decides to really weigh in on this.
We haven't heard much from Speaker Johnson. What's he saying?
So Speaker Johnson has sort of cast himself as a bit of a mediator in this debate, right? Because in addition to keeping these hardliners in place, he's also got to contend with the fact that some of his moderate members don't like this bill either. And one of the big issues that they're having is that the bill doesn't do enough to satisfy the way that they feel about what's called a state and local tax deduction. Basically, they want people who are paying high levels of income tax in blue states to be able to deduct more from their federal income than they can. So Johnson's in this place where he's trying to satiate both his far right and moderate flanks, and it's really difficult because he can only afford to lose like 1 to 3 votes on this when it goes to the floor for a final vote. He is kind of in the middle of this push and pull, which means he's ultimately going to likely have to call in President Trump. That's sort of like the big gun here to ultimately kind of get his folks to fall in line.
Okay, what are Democrats saying about this big, beautiful bill?
Yeah, they would definitely tell you beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Democrats do not like this bill. We have not seen a single Democrat say that they support it. And in committee today, you mentioned the 21 votes. Most of those are Democrats who were casting votes against this bill today. I would not expect that we will see any Democrats support this bill at any point along the way here, even if there's specific provisions in it that they do like. The larger package is going to be unpalatable to most Democrats who have really cast this as a very disastrous piece of legislation. They're really looking to emphasize the fact that a number of people could lose access to their Medicaid health care through this bill. And that's something that Democrats say they're fighting against.
All right. ABC's Allie Pecorn, thank you so much for breaking that down for me.
Thank you.
It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shaleo. Some of the stories we were watching this hour: cougar safety tips as you head to the mountains, and a look at traffic. Ricky?
We are seeing some heavy traffic on southbound I-15 going from Midvale into Sandy for Salt Lake County drivers, and slowing southbound Highway 89 at I-84. Maria?
First, a look at ABC News.
Former FBI Director James Comey under investigation by the Secret Service for a social media post showing a picture of a shell formation in the number 8647. The White House called it a threat to the president. ABC's Jack Date has more.
He took down that photo shortly after it started blowing up on the internet with allies of the president, people close to him, interpreting that photo of the shells on the beach as some sort of threat. And he replaced that with a statement saying that he posted the photo, understanding that it was a political message, but he says that he didn't really understand that some might see this as a call or associated with violence.
The president returning from his 4-day trip to the Middle East and says the U.S. and Iran nuclear talks are getting closer to a deal. Iran disputing the president's optimism. A manhunt continues in New Orleans after a jailbreak today. Authorities say 11 suspects being held escaped. One escapee, though, has already been captured. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A Southern Utah man is facing felony charges because of how he reacted to getting a traffic ticket. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
A highway patrol officer in Southern Utah says he pulled over Joshua Erskine to ask about his registration. Turns out it was canceled. He didn't have insurance. And the court documents say he also had an expired driver's license. He told the trooper he didn't need a license because he was, quote, a free man. The trooper gave him a ticket. And then police say he sent the trooper a 28-page letter that included threats and it demanded money.
Erskine is now facing felony charges, accused of extortion and retaliation. A Utah scrap metal company is excited to finally whittle down their supply after the pause on tariffs. Utah Metalworks President Mark Lewin says China stopped accepting copper imports after the retaliatory tariffs were placed. A big deal for their company since they are not the same processes in the States to get the scrap reworked into a usable state.
Some materials still moved, but these actions have consequences and reactions, and that's what's played out.
He says it would take years to get the refining process in the States up to what they already have in China. Right now, tariffs have been lifted, and they're able to start slowing offloading inventory, but are still waiting to see what happens next. Utah is still feeling unsure about the economy. U.S. consumer sentiment fell for the fourth month straight. It's the lowest it's been since the summer of 2022, when inflation peaked at 9%. The Kempsey-Gardner Policy Institute says it's, of course, because of tariffs. Now, we could see a big change this month as the pause on retaliatory Chinese tariffs goes into place. A new state jobs report is out, and Utah added 36,000 new jobs in April compared to a year ago.
The biggest growth was in that health and education sector. We had about 14,400 new jobs there, and then followed by construction with about 7,200 jobs, and then manufacturing increased by about 3,600 jobs.
Department of Workforce Services spokesperson Jared Mendenhall says there was a slight bump in February and March from DOGE cuts, but we have since returned to normal levels. The state unemployment rate currently sits at 3.1%. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by nearly 300 points, sitting at 42,620. S&P 500 up by 33. The NASDAQ is up by 74 points. Crews are still working to repair I-15 in Roy, where a sinkhole opened up during the morning commute. UDOT believes it formed around a water pipe under the road. Let's get a look at traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
And that sinkhole made a mess of traffic on southbound I-15, but all lanes are open now, and the delays have cleared out. Where we still have leftover delays, that's southbound Highway 89. The backup starts prior to Skyline Drive down to the I-84 junction. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines. Utah Utility Pro, utahutilitypro.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our forecast or our weather remaining still a little bit unstable. 50% chance of showers on Saturday, 80% chance on Sunday. It's going to be much cooler on Sunday with a high of 57. Right now, 62 22 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Buying a home can be challenging. Good thing Mountain America Credit Union is on your side. With our homegrown home loans, you'll receive the local guidance and friendly service to finance your dream home. Plus, for a limited time, you'll get a free appraisal. Apply for your Mountain America Homegrown Home Loan today. Details at macu.com/mortgage. On approved credit, membership required based on eligibility. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Some restrictions apply. Equal housing lender. NMLS ID 462815.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Chaleos. As the weather warms up and the snow melts in the mountains, Utahns everywhere are hitting the trails. And if you are out hiking, you might hear something like this. That's right, the infamous mountain lion. You might also know it as a cougar or the puma. And you might come upon one while hiking or even in just your yard or neighborhood. After all, we built our homes in their territory. Now, we want to keep you safe and prepared, so we are bringing on an expert to chat about how to prevent conflicts with mountain lions. Darren DuBois is the Game Mammals Coordinator with Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. Darren, thanks for being here. Tell us first about the amount of mountain lion or cougar attacks. Are they pretty common here in Utah?
No, in fact, it's one of those things like getting bitten by a shark in the ocean. Not super high likelihood, but not zero. So we just like to make sure everybody's aware that if you see mule deer, you're in lion country in Utah. They're pretty much anywhere that mule deer can be found.
So let's first talk about hiking and camping. What are your top tips to stay safe from cougars?
Mainly just, cougars are going to try to avoid people. And so as long as we're doing our normal thing, I think the thing where people become vulnerable is if they're not aware of their surroundings, or, for example, if you have earbuds in and you're jogging alone in the early morning or in the evening before dark, that's when mountain lions will be the most active. And if you're just not aware of what's going on around you, you're probably a little more vulnerable. Again, rare, but you increase your vulnerability. So if you're in a group, you've got a pet with you. A lot of times that's just enough commotion, I guess. Talking, voices, those kind of things. Cougars will generally avoid you.
Darren, are we more vulnerable with pets? I mean, what should we do, if we have our pets and we're going for a hike with our pets?
Not generally. Smaller pets, little dogs. I wouldn't say that they attract a mountain lion, but in the event that you ran across one, they'd probably be a little less benefit than the larger dog, lab or something like that. If you do encounter a lion on the trail at close quarters, and you have a small pet, pick it up, or a youngster with you, pick them up, make yourself look big, make noise, be aggressive, and slowly back away. Don't turn and run. That may trigger a predatory response. The cougar may chase and grab you if that happens. So again, face off, slowly back away, try to leave the area. Usually if that kind of thing happens, and we have had that happen a couple of times. There's some famous video people can Google, but typically the cougar will, act aggressively, swat at the ground, basically try to say, get out of here. In one case, it was defending kittens. Sometimes they may defend a kill. Usually what cougars do when they kill a deer or some other prey item, they'll cover it up with debris, kind of bury it. People who have cats know that behavior it's fairly common. And so if you do run across a dead animal that looks like it's had leaves and pine needles or whatever piled on top of it, you ought to probably get out of that area and move on down the road.
Yeah, this time of year we hear of mountain lion sightings near homes on the benches. What is happening to bring them back down into our neighborhoods?
They're usually, if they're looking for prey, and so if you have deer in your yard and you're living right up against that urban interface, like a lot of us do in Utah, there's more of a likelihood that you might have cougars using that habitat and looking to take animals to eat. Cougars are carnivore obligates. That is, that they have to eat meat to survive. That's where they get the nutrients they need. They're not like bears or even things like coyotes that can eat vegetation, and in large part they have to kill things and eat them to eat them. So if you're right up against that urban interface, be real careful, in the evenings and early mornings with pets outside. And some people like to raise chickens, those kinds of things. Sometimes those can cause some conflicts with lions as they're sort of making their way around those areas. But they're definitely there. People who live there could probably gauge how often they've seen one as sort of how the likelihood. But I know we get a lot more on cameras, and as our opportunity technology to sort of observe what's going on around our properties increases, people see more and more.
Yeah,
usually they're just moving through.
More on their doorbell cameras, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So if we do see one just walking down the street, we don't necessarily feel like we're in danger. We should still avoid them, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They can be dangerous to people, obviously. So, cougars in town, if you observe them on a Ring camera or in person or when they're in the city or in our semi-urban areas, we'd like to know about that, send someone out to investigate. Usually they're moving through and they'll move on and they don't come back, but the division we would like to track that, and especially if they're coming back over and over, maybe killing chickens or obviously it should be fairly obvious, but if you lose a pet, we definitely want to know. We want to try and do something about that. So we try to avoid and minimize conflict as much as possible, but if it occurs, we definitely want to know. Now, if you're hiking and you see a ridge over doing what cougars do in the mountains, we don't necessarily need a call for that. Just enjoy that sighting. That's kind of a cool thing to see as you're out enjoying the landscape.
So how do we report these? Where do we call?
Well, there's if it's an emergency, call 911 and they'll get a hold of us, or usually local PD, local law enforcement will respond, and then we'll get a call later. So if it's not an emergency, but that people feel uncomfortable, one's around, hasn't really done anything, but they're observing it around and they're concerned, they can call one of our offices. We've got one in Salt Lake and then one in each of the 5 regions. So Ogden, Springville, Cedar City, Price, and Vernal. Call whichever office is close so we can get some people out. If it's after hours and our offices are closed and it's not an emergency, you can call law enforcement dispatch and they'll get a hold of one of our officers through the radio. So
Darren, we've heard of
those are some options.
Thank you. We've heard of some like small dogs go missing, but do we have any reports of them attacking people?
We've had some aggressive. We haven't had an actual attack on a person recently that I recall. By recently, I worked for the division over 25 years, and I don't recall one in my career, one where a cougar actually attacked a person. But we have had several that people have encountered them in the backcountry and they've acted aggressively and maybe defended themselves with a firearm or some other means. And the one case I'm thinking of that was sort of a viral video not long ago, the guy was throwing rocks and hollering and finally the cougar disengaged, but didn't actually touch him. It just was there at close range. Certainly would have been very scary. So it can happen. It's rare, but people could be prepared. Take things with you while you're enjoying the backcountry. Bear spray is an option. If you're up hiking or running or biking on the back trails up in the mountains, it's not a bad idea to have something like that, just in case. And
just in
there are
case.
probably other reasons to have it. Yep.
Darren, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being
Sure
with
thing.
me. That is Darren DeBlois. He is the game mammals coordinator with the Utah DWR. Midday with Maria Chaleos continues in just 60 seconds.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimers.
Utah's entertainment and music scene has seen a lot of changes over the years. Big names coming to Utah, of course, but also smaller local artists making bigger splashes on the scene, taking their work national and international. This weekend is the Kilby Block Party, a 4-day music festival held at the State Fair Park, and it had us thinking about all the changes over the years. So we posed the question yesterday: how have you seen Utah's music and entertainment scene change over the years, and do you like it or not? Jerry chimed in on Facebook saying the Union has some great concerts and bands that come there, and Sandy Amphitheater has great shows too. Our own Claire Scott attended the Kilby Block Party yesterday and spoke with a few festival attendees to get their thoughts.
I think it's just gotten a lot bigger, like as it's gone on. I think more people are like coming, and so they're able to like get bigger names, which has been really fun. I think having more people here kind of brings more of a festival vibe, which has been more fun. So I think it's good.
I mean, definitely in the last 3 years, it feels like it gets bigger every year. I also just love but I also feel like my favorite thing about it is that it stays the same, and that it's like this festival has not like sold out and done like it still keeps its identity of like indie rock, good vibes. Like I've seen festivals in New York like start that way and then change to just like getting like the biggest pop artists they can get. So that's like the best thing about it.
I like that they pander to like the millennials with the music, but also like sprinkling in artists like last year with like The Garden and things like that, where it's just like up and coming names. And also like the first 4 hours of every single day is like local music, which I think is really rad. I don't think people take advantage of that, and I understand.
That was Sierra Stratton, Tommy Eyes, Caitlin Duffin. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Now today's question of the day for Monday. Remember, this is your chance to chime in on the news stories of the day and tell us how it's affecting you. All you have to do is answer the question on the KSL News Radio app or by phone. On the app, it's so easy. Just look for that call-in tab at the bottom of the screen. Tell us your first name, where you're calling from, then answer the question. You can also review your question there and re-record. Or you can call and leave us a voicemail at 801-575-4606. We'll then play some of your thoughts on the radio and talk with the experts on the topic each weekday about 1:35. So today's question of the day: how much are you spending on subscription services each month? And are you planning to cut any of your subscriptions? Again, leave us your name, where you're calling from, and your response on the app just at the call-in tab, or call 801-575-4606. You'll also find that question on KSL News Radio's social media accounts. And we'll talk more about that topic at 1:35 on Monday. After the break, we're going to share the story of one special teen and his journey for a new heart. But first, let's take a look at traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
A crash-free commute on the Valley freeways. That's the good news, but heavier than normal traffic southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County going between the South Interchange and Draper. Speeds dip below the freeway limit, but you're still moving. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Summer is just around the corner. Kickstart your next great adventure during Motorsportsland RV Center's huge pre-Memorial Day sale. Save big on hundreds of RVs, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motorhomes, all priced to move before the holiday rush. Get camping ready with travel trailers from just $6 a day, or upgrade to a luxury RV and save thousands. Unlike other dealers, we don't sneak in hidden fees for freight, prep, or orientation. What you see is what you pay. Every RV comes with free training, so you're adventure ready the moment you leave the lot. With flexible financing, upfront pricing, and Utah's best selection, your summer adventure starts at a Motorsportsland RV Center. Hurry into Mill Creek or Spanish Fork, or visit motorsportsland.com and let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at
U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is Midday with Maria Chaleos. Executive producer of the show, Andy Cupp, is joining me to talk about a special event that's coming up here on KSL News Radio. You know, our annual Give-a-thon.
You know, Maria, this is a super special thing we do every year here at KSL, and I love it, and all of our Bonneville stations, raising money to help Primary Children's Hospital in their mission to help kids of all kinds from all places.
It's the KSL Give-a-thon. Be a smile maker for the kids at Primary Children's Hospital.
Today, we want to tell you about one child who has benefited from the care at Primary Children's Hospital. Bryson Quinney was born with half a heart and always knew he would need a heart transplant someday.
My name is Jenny Lynn Quinney, and I'm mom.
And I'm dad, Eric.
Hi, my name is Bryson, and this is my story.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down.
So I was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
Shortly after he was born, the doctor had come in and said that he was arranging for a life flight transport. Bryson had severe congenital heart defects and basically only had half a heart.
I distinctly remember in our very much naiveness about the situation. After his first major open heart surgery and the surgeon came to tell us how things went, I said, so should I bring him back in a day or two just for a follow-up? And he said, we're just hoping he lives for 72 hours. That's when I knew we were on a journey that I didn't know what I was in for.
I had my first open heart surgery when I was 7 days old, 3 before I was 5 years old. So I've always just been coming back for a yearly cath lab. I'm in about every 6 months for a checkup. But my liver started to deteriorate from my heart in about 2019. And so that's when they made the best decision and put me on the heart transplant list in October of 2019.
You know, we always knew a heart transplant was going to be our reality. And a heart transplant certainly is not 100% cure-all.
I lived in Primary Children's with the inpatient for about 58 days. I ended up getting my transplant on March 5th of 2020. It was a very emotional experience knowing someone was able to say yes to give the gift of life to me, but also knowing that something very tragic had to happen to another family for me to be able to live out my life.
It's incredible. I mean, it's a miracle.
And all due to the incredible care and staff that was here at Primary Children's Hospital.
I wake up and I get to live a normal life that I've always wanted. To be able to hopefully live out my firefighter dream and to be able to help people like people help me. I'm beyond grateful for Primary Children's. Primary Children's is awesome.
Bryson is now able to do what he loves, play both baseball and football. Over the next several weeks, we're going to be featuring the stories of families who have been helped by the caring staff and medical professionals at Primary Children's Hospital. You can help now. Just go to KSLkids.com. Let me do that again. KSLkids.com, or you can text the word SMILE to 57500 to make a donation today. Andy, you mentioned to me off air that you have a special experience with the annual Give-a-thon. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not from Utah originally, and several years ago, I was working at one of the TV stations here in town, and I had just gotten off my overnight shift and had driven home, usually listened to music after the shift, decided to listen to KSL News Radio, and I heard a story about a child who had cancer, and it was incredibly touching, and I thought, you know what, I don't have a ton to give, but what I can give is better than nothing. And I distinctly remember sitting in my driveway in my car, called KSL, and within just a couple of minutes had done a donation. And it wasn't a lot, maybe $10, $25, something small like that. But just the feeling of being able to help a child in need, like that's a feeling you can't get any other way.
There is no doubt about that. And remember, no matter how much you give, whoever is giving right now, every little bit helps. Everything helps with our Give-a-thon. Just go to KSLkids.com, or again, you can text the word SMILE to 57500 to make a donation today. Now, our main Give-a-thon will be on Wednesday, June 4th, and special thanks to J&J Garden Center for being our Smile Maker sponsor.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Major delays and detours in Weber County today. The cause? A giant sinkhole.
I got off at 3:41. I was actually surprised because I use Google Maps just to, if there's traffic or whatnot. And my daughter's like, yeah, it's telling you to take an exit already. And I'm like, why? Why are we going this way? I don't understand what's going on.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, May 16th. It's midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. Coming up, the latest info from UDOT and more on why we're seeing so many sinkholes pop up recently. Also this hour,
we definitely want a place to experience and celebrate our culture.
Concerns from Utah's Japanese community over the future of Japantown near the Delta Center. But first, our top stories. Utah has announced the names of the finalists for state superintendent. KSL News Radio's Claire Scott reports.
While Dr. Ben Dalton and Dr. Molly Hart have different specialties, they both have a lot of experience in Utah's education system. The Utah State Board of Education says both have been classroom teachers. Dalton is currently serving as the superintendent of Kane County School District and has a lot of experience with rural Utah schools. Hart is the executive director of the Charter School Summit Academy. She's been a principal and is also a Utah State Board of Education board member. The two will be questioned later this month by the board during a public meeting.
The next superintendent will succeed Dr. Sydney Dixon, who announced her resignation after 9 years in that role. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A manhunt is underway for 10 inmates who escaped from a prison in New Orleans. An 11th has been recaptured. ABC's Phil Lipoff says police consider the rest armed and dangerous.
One of them even accused of attempted first-degree murder. So what they've done is they've contacted all of the victims of the crimes they say these men committed, and they've taken those people to safety.
They discovered the escape this morning during a routine head count when the numbers didn't match what guards expected. A hiker missing for roughly a month has been found alive this week in California's Sierra Mountains. Tiffany Slayton says she lost everything of hers and had to endure a snowstorm, an avalanche, and landslides while foraging for food and water. She says she came across an unlocked cabin where she was able to take refuge and was found there by the cabin's owner.
At the end, after fighting nature for such a long time, I lost my tent, I lost my vestibule, and I did eventually lose both sleeping bags. So I was outside with nothing but a lighter and a knife.
Cabin owner says he's going to leave one of his cabins unlocked from now on, just in case anyone else finds themselves stranded. Walmart says it's going to have to start raising prices to combat tariffs. Robert Spendlove, senior economist with Zions Bank, says this decision will impact more than just Walmart shoppers.
Walmart is the largest retailer in the world. They're one of the largest employers in the world. They really drive a lot of the retail market. And so everyone's been watching to see how Walmart reacts, to see how they adjust as well.
Spendlove says the retail giant pushed back against price increases for months, but decided it couldn't hold off any longer. Your money at this moment, the Dow up by 331 points, more than 0.75%, sitting at 42,654. S&P 500 up by 41 points, and the NASDAQ up by 98 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crash free on our Valley freeways and our main secondaries, but some busy traffic. Southbound I-15 between the South Interchange into Draper. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are expected to hit a high today of 67 degrees, 75 tomorrow, but a 50% chance of showers tomorrow and an 80% chance on Sunday, with the high temperature dropping down to 57. 62 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 6/22/25, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Drivers in Weber County facing huge delays and long detours during this morning's commute. The reason? A giant sinkhole opening up on I-15, resulting in the closure of several lanes in an already congested construction zone. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Chaleos. It was a nightmare for drivers with backups quickly stretching back miles. KSL News Radio's Adam Small arrived on the scene shortly after it happened, and he spoke with some drivers who got caught up in all that congestion.
I was not expecting a detour at all.
I caught up with Tiffany Galloway Maddox, who was driving all the way from Logan to Salt Lake this morning after her Google Maps app suddenly told her to get off the freeway. She didn't even know what was going on until I told her.
There's a sinkhole on the freeway a little bit further down.
Oh, no.
Luckily, she had to stop here in Roy to get gas anyways.
You know, I was actually doing pretty good till now. It's going to be now getting to where I got to go that's really going to be the tall tale if I get there on time.
Utah spokesperson Mitch Shaw tells me this sinkhole formed around a pipe that was running underneath the freeway. They think all the recent rain washed away a bunch of sediment around that pipe.
All that compacted road base that's beneath the road that keeps the road stable is just kind of gone right there. So it's kind of just that top layer of asphalt that's left.
He says when sinkholes form, it normally happens after heavy rain. For now, they're going to install a temporary fix that should hold up long enough until they can do a permanent fix. Shaw says they don't want to do that now because they'd have to shut down the entire freeway. Instead, they'll do that later this summer when they shift I-15 again as part of their work to build a new interchange here along 5600 South. He also said instances like this reinforce the work they're doing on this interchange and other stretches of the I-15 corridor because part of that construction is improving drainage and in turn, hopefully preventing stuff like this long term.
When we install this new infrastructure and go in and do a road project and add new drainage and it's all new infrastructure, yeah, that will help prevent things like this from happening.
In Roy, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
To dig into the heart of the story and to get the latest updates on the situation, we are joined by UDOT spokesperson Mitch Shaw. Mitch, thanks for being with me. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. What is the latest update on the sinkhole?
So the update is we have fixed the sinkhole. We've made the repairs, and we're still seeing some residual traffic back up. But all three lanes are open right now in that area, and then we're expecting traffic to kind of resume its normal activity by the evening commute.
Describe for us what caused this sinkhole today.
Yeah, well, so sinkholes are all about water, and basically what it is water-related erosion that's happening underneath the surface of the road. And that can be anything from extremes in precipitation, like a extreme drought, all the way to heavy rainfall, changes like that, seasonal changes in the water table, or it can be related to some underground infrastructure. We think that's what's going on here. There's a pipe in the area that for some reason, as far as we know, the pipe's not leaking, but for some reason, sinkhole is occurring near this pipe. So we're going to go in, like Adam said just a moment ago, as part of our project right now on 5600 South, we're building a new interchange, but later in the summer, we're going to be shifting traffic on I-15. And when we do that shift, that'll allow us to go in and really dig down and make a permanent fix and figure out, whatever's going on with this pipe. So we're looking forward to that. We think the fix that we did today is going to hold until that will happen. So fingers crossed that'll be the case.
Yeah, does construction usually play a role in this? This happened in a construction area. Did it contribute to the sinkhole?
So, I mean, this pipe was installed about a year ago. So in that essence, I guess, yes, construction contributed, but we haven't been doing any work specifically in this area lately. So it wasn't like, something was fouled up construction-wise that immediately caused this to happen. So, yeah, it's related to this pipe, and kind of we're going to take a deeper dive and get a better fix later on this summer.
You mentioned it's all about water. The cause is all about water. We are expecting some more heavy rain. Are you expecting any other sort of problems?
We're not expecting any problems in this particular area, but I should say sinkholes, they're similar to what we see kind of in the heat of the summer when we have some of the road buckling issues. And they're similar just in the fact that we know sinkholes are going to happen. It's just kind of an act of nature, and we can't always predict where they're going to happen. We don't know there's a problem until there's a problem. So we're always ready and prepared to go out and fix it. Like when we found out about it this morning, we were out there immediately. And the number one concern there is the sinkhole, when it starts to develop, it's likely not going to remain in its current state. It's likely going to expand. So whenever we see something like that, we have to get out there and fix it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, are they usually as large as this one or larger?
It varies. Yeah, they can be larger, they can be smaller, and sometimes we fix them before they get to that bigger state. But it just kind of all varies on the what's going on there at the site. But this one was especially rough because So initially we thought we would just have to close one lane of I-15, and people that are familiar that drive through this area of I-15 know that with this 5600 South project, the freeway is already cut down to 3 lanes in that area. So this sinkhole expanded into another lane. We thought it would just be the far right lane, but it expanded into the lane that's right next to it. So we had to close down 2 of the 3 lanes. So you can see how that would kind of cause a nightmare with traffic. So yeah, sinkholes can vary depending on where they are, and this one was pretty unfortunate because it did cover 2 of those lanes and required us to shut them down.
Yeah, did it cause any damage to cars? I mean, did somebody run into it? Is that how you found out about it?
Not that I know of. No, I know there were no injuries, anything of that nature. I'm not exactly sure how we found out so we have our maintenance crews that are out kind of patrolling the roads on a daily basis. So I don't know if one of them discovered it or if it was a member of the public that kind of looked down and said, something looks wrong here on the road. And that's not uncommon. I mean, like I said, we have our crews that are out there patrolling the roads and looking at things and making maintenance fixes all over. But we do also rely, we can't be everywhere at once. And so we do also rely on the public. If they see something that doesn't look quite right with one of our roads, we want them to call us and let us know. And like in a case like this, that was just kind of an immediate action. We had to get out there and fix it.
Yeah, I happen to think, what would I do if I ran into a sinkhole like this? I mean, what should drivers do when these pop up?
Well, hopefully we will be aware of it before it gets, like was the case today. We were aware of it before it expanded enough where it could create a problem. So, but in terms of if you do encounter a sinkhole or a pavement buckle or anything like that, you have to do your best to get out of the way of it. And I know, driving on I-15, that can be a challenge sometimes, but it's just part of the same kind of situational awareness we talk about all the time with safe driving. Follow the speed limit, make sure you're paying attention, you're not distracted. Obviously, make sure you're able to drive and not inebriated anyway. So, but yeah, I'd say luckily, typically we will catch these things before they expand. We can see them expanding, and they're usually small enough that we get to them before any sort of damage or any sort of safety incident happens.
Mitch, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me. That is Mitch Shaw with UDOT. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Did you know 96% of Americans lose an average of $111,000 in Social Security income? And it's because they claim their benefits at the wrong time. Don't lose $111,000 in Social Security income that's rightfully yours. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits on Retirement Solutions Radio. this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL. News Radio 1027.
Get ready to join the climb, Jazz fans. It's time to place your season ticket deposits for the 2025-26 season. Place your deposit now and receive priority access to select your seats, exclusive gear, and more. Season tickets give you access to every home game, plus exclusive member-only discounts and benefits. Call or text 801-355-DUNK or go to utahjazz.com to lock in your deposit for next season.
We do have breaking news on KSL News Radio. Andy Cupp is back in studio with me. What's happening, Andy?
So we are seeing multiple news agencies report that the Supreme Court has blocked the Trump administration from restarting the Alien Enemies Act deportations. We're still trying to get exact details, but I'm seeing things on CNN, The Hill, a few other places. But it kind of looks like the Supreme Court has decided to pass that whole decision back to a lower court. So they didn't necessarily rule on whether or not the president can do this or can't do this, but they just pushed it back to the lower court to kind of tell the lower court, okay, you figure this out. And so this is kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit. It does look like the dissent in this decision did come from Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, the two more conservative justices on the bench. But yeah, it's something that, like I said, we're still trying to get exact details on, but it is kind of a blow to the Trump administration at this point because it just pushes it out, delays the decision, their use of the Alien Enemies Act even more.
All right. Thanks, Andy. Utah has the third highest share of adults with serious mental illness of any state in the nation. And research by the Utah Behavioral Health Coalition also shows our share of young adults with poor mental health has more than doubled over the past 10 years. At this week's Mental Health Breakfast, KSL News Radio's Adam Small got an update on the Behavioral Health Commission's efforts to address the issue from the chair, Allie Isom.
A lot of really smart people came together and pulled all the data around behavioral health and then created about 200 priorities, places to start with solutions for behavioral health. It was a great foundation for the conversation, identified the biggest problems we have and where maybe some of the solutions can start. We want to put individuals having this experience first. And one of the biggest challenges they have is navigation. Where is my portal into care? How do I access it? I go to my primary care doctor and I think they've addressed it, or I go to a walk-in clinic. I want to know I'm in the right place, getting the right kind of care so it doesn't escalate. And so often families are grappling with, am I in the right place? It's so complicated. How do I navigate this landscape?
Now, what are some of the biggest challenges?
One of the biggest challenges is the state hospital needs funding for additional beds for subacute patients so that can free up beds for more acute needs, and that will have a ripple effect in the entire ecosystem of behavioral health care. We need patient navigational assistance. So we heard people talk about case management or care management. Sometimes you're a guru to help you find your way through. And sometimes that's peer support. It's a really inexpensive way to have the help of somebody who knows how to do this kind of thing. We also talked about transportation. When somebody's in crisis and they go to an emergency department and they need to go to a place, an institution or facility to receive more acute care, they're often transported by law enforcement or an ambulance, and it results in more trauma. So right now, sometimes the people in greatest need incur great trauma trying to get the right kind of help. We're trying to reduce that trauma and ensure they get the right services for where the need is.
If you are ever in a crisis and need immediate assistance, call 988. Advocates for Salt Lake City's Japantown concerned about expansion plans downtown for the Delta Center. More on that in just a moment. First, traffic brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle Homegrown Loans. Ricky?
We do have delays going westbound on 106 South due to lane restrictions with road work in the South Jordan area approaching 4th West. It's also affecting the exit ramp from southbound I-15 at 106 to go westbound. Just be aware, The right lanes are blocked to traffic. The secret to healthy, thriving plants is great soil. Oakdale Farms Organic Compost is a game changer for your veggie garden, flower beds, and trees. Oakdale Farms Organic Compost at oakdale.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have a minute?
I love Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News. It's more of a personal take on the news from Jeff.
Get caught up on the latest news and hear Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News for thought-provoking, playful commentary.
It's usually funny.
Like he's said before, it varies from day to day, and it's always entertaining.
My Minute of News, it puts a smile on my face.
If you have a minute, you need to catch Jeff's Minute. My Minute of News, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body?
Huh?
That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Chaleos. Utah's Japanese American community is raising concerns, saying they don't want to get left behind during the planning and construction of the new sports and entertainment district in Salt Lake City. Much of Salt Lake's original Japantown was demolished to make way for the Salt Palace. Clarissa Park runs SLC Japantown socials and website and started a petition calling on stakeholders to allow input from Utah's Japanese community, like building a community space that celebrates their heritage. She spoke with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera about the petition effort.
All right. Well, I wrote this petition. It's kind of a continuation of the petition I wrote last year, except the petition I wrote last year was focused on SB 272. So to basically have the Japanese American included in the participation agreement between the Smith Entertainment Group and Salt Lake City regarding the tax increase that they passed last year. And so, yeah, since that one was kind of dated, I started a new petition to basically encourage the Smith Entertainment Group to prioritize Japanese businesses, restaurants, and hopefully in our space on any commercial space that opens facing Japantown Street.
Park and others are concerned about the lack of details surrounding the block that currently houses the community's churches on First South.
There's not really any specifics that have been released. You know, they do show hotels and luxury apartments on First South where the current convention center is between 2nd and 3rd West. But once again, this is a big reason why I'm doing this is because during one of the meetings with the between the Japanese community and Smith Entertainment Group, the county council and city council, Mayor Wilson asked our community, what do we want? And so for members of the Japanese American community that are not members of either existing religious organization that's still on the street, we definitely want a place to experience and celebrate our culture.
She says the Japanese American community is determined to not see history repeat itself as Salt Lake pushes ahead with this new sports and entertainment district.
You know, long-term goal is to see an activated Japantown Street, to have it be a vibrant space where we can bring our families. One of the saddest things that we lost as a community after urban renewal, you know, when the Salt Palace was built, was an inclusive community space, because all that's left on that street are 2 churches. You know, so it'd be awesome to just take our families somewhere on a whim, you know, on Japantown Street where we want to experience our culture. And short term for now, it's, you know, just to keep spreading the word. Every signature helps, every forward, every share, you know, is definitely appreciated. And because a lot of the conversations that start when I've been out canvassing is that people don't even know there is a Japantown Street, you know? And so, yeah, we just want to keep spreading the word, and hopefully more people will know about what's going on.
Response to the petition has been good, but Park says they still have a long way to go to get the word out.
We launched during Nihon Matsuri Japan Festival, which was at the end of April, and the support is always awesome. You know, people come up to us like already knowing the petition, they know about Japantown, they bring friends and family over to sign. So it's really awesome to experience that. But yeah, so we're just, you know, launching this petition. We're getting out there to different spaces. Last year we were at like the Utah Asian Festival and yeah, like Japan Festival. But this year, one of my initiatives is to get into newer spaces that we weren't last year. So partnering with local Japanese businesses is a big priority for me this year. And so we are going to be at local pop-up markets and just kind of keeping things very grassroots still, and in order to keep bringing awareness to our community.
You can find the petition at SLC Japantown on Instagram. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson says the community's concerns are being heard and they want to get it right this time. Modern medicine is a marvel. Gene therapy is saving the life of a critically ill baby. ABC's Sherry Preston has the story.
It's all been a miracle. That's the only way to describe.
Kyle Muldoon describing the therapy treatment that helped his 9-month-old son, KJ, born with a rare disease. It causes dangerous levels of ammonia in his blood. Doctors at CHOP Children's Hospital of Philadelphia using a first-of-its-kind gene editing tool to remove KJ's faulty DNA. ABC News medical units at Sony Salzman says, think of your genes as a book, and in some people, there's a typo.
This technology, it can go in and fix that typo.
Now baby KJ is up and laughing. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
And here's Dr. Tara Narula.
As a physician, the greatest thing is this changed the conversation from doctors walking into a room of this family and saying, would you like to make your child comfort measures, end-of-life care, to now being able to give this family and this baby hope and a new life.
Modern medicine is a marvel. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Chaleos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour: advances in DNA testing helping to solve Utah's cold cases. Salt Lake City weather is showing high temps year over year, and KSL traffic with Ricky Meese.
We are looking at a quiet drive to a large degree. No accidents on the Valley freeways, but we do have spots of busy traffic that dip below the freeway limit. Southbound I-15 at the South Interchange into Midvale. Also delays exiting from southbound I-15 to go westbound on 106 South Sandy into South Jordan. That is due to road work with lane restrictions. Stay in that left lane if you need to get through. Otherwise, we're starting to see heavy traffic to kick off your Friday afternoon drive. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Supreme Court rejecting the Trump administration's appeal to quickly resume deportations of Venezuelans under the use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. The justices issuing the decision based on an emergency appeal from lawyers representing the Venezuelan men who are accused of being gang members. On the heels of his Mideast trip, President Trump says talks over Iran's nuclear program is making progress. ABC's Karen Travers with more.
The president didn't give specifics to explain his optimism or details about what the proposal is that he said today the Iranians have from the United States. His special envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been leading these conversations. There have been 4 rounds of indirect talks between the United States and Iran in recent weeks. The last one happened on Sunday in Oman. It's not clear yet when the next one would take place, but the president expressing optimism that they're getting close.
Direct talks between Ukraine and Russia falling flat today in Turkey. The Russia delegation calling for Ukrainian land as terms for a ceasefire. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story: a Utah State basketball star is facing the possibility of a long prison sentence or even the death penalty. That's if he's convicted on drug charges in Indonesia.
Jared Shaw played at Utah State from 2012 to 2014, but he's been banned from the Indonesian Basketball League for life after his arrest earlier this month. Police say they got a tip from airport customs saying Shaw had a suspicious package from Thailand where cannabis possession is legal. According to police, they raided Shaw's apartment and seized over 100 cannabis candies. Indonesia has very strict anti-drug laws, and if Shaw is found guilty, he faces either life in prison or death by firing squad. Currently, over 500 people are on death row in Indonesia, most of them for crimes related to drugs, but the country hasn't executed anyone in nearly 9 years. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
The Ogden Marathon will be closing several streets throughout the city this weekend. Tomorrow, areas of Grant Avenue, 24th Street, 25th Street, and Washington Boulevard will be closed. The Ogden Canyon will also shut down completely from 5:30 to 1:30. Utah has announced the names of the finalists for state superintendent. KSL News Radio's Claire Scott reports.
While Dr. Ben Dalton and Dr. Molly Hart have different specialties, they both have a lot of experience in Utah's education system. The Utah State Board of Education says both have been classroom teachers. Dalton is currently serving as the superintendent of Kane County School District and has a lot of experience with rural Utah schools. Hart is the executive director of the Charter School Summit Academy. She's been a principal and is also a Utah State Board of Education board member. The two will be questioned later this month by the board during a public meeting.
The next superintendent will succeed Dr. Sydney Dixon, who announced her resignation after 9 years in the role. Just in time for summer, the section of SR 148 running through Cedar Breaks National Monument is back open. It was closed during the winter for some intense snow removal. Some trails are still closed as the snow melts. Visitor services will also begin next week, just in time for Memorial Day. People in Pineview will be without water for part of next week as crews work to replace the water line. Pineview Water System says they'll be shutting off the water to people between 2900 North and 6th East to 2600 North and 7th East. And taking a look at your money at this moment, at the close, the Dow down by nearly 332 points, more than 0.75%, sitting at 42,654. S&P 500 up by 41 points. The NASDAQ up by 98 points. That's about 0.5%. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Already seeing slow speeds set in southbound I-15 near the South Interchange. It's mostly between 53rd South Murray to 72nd South in Midvale, and again exiting off of southbound I-15 at 106 South. UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead for daytime lane closures on US 89 on both ends of Logan Canyon Monday through Friday through May as crews work to improve broadband access. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The clouds are starting to clear here in downtown Salt Lake City, but it still looks like a kind of rainy weekend. 50% chance of showers tomorrow, but the high 75. On Sunday, an 80% chance, and the temperature drops dramatically down to a high of 57. Right now, a bit of sunshine, 62 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Repair or replace your roof now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. 12 months interest-free financing. The highest value roofing job in Utah. Dial pound 250 and then say S&S Roofing.
Troy, can you believe Memorial Day is almost here?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting?
Yeah.
That's all you got for the official start to camping season and our entire reason for living?
I am excited. Yes. What do you want from me?
Get pumped, man. It's camping Christmas. Kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge flippin' deal. That's why Bish's is already celebrating Memorial Day with big deals on all RVs. We're selling travel trailers starting under $139 per month on approved credit.
And don't forget no tariff fees on new in-stock RVs.
Plus 90 days of all play and no pay OAC.
And clearance pricing on all remaining 2024s while they last.
We're even delivering select RVs same day so you can camp right away.
Same day camping? That is a big flippin' deal.
Told you, camping season is a big deal. So come get the real big deals during the Memorial Day sales event happening right now at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 90452-81733. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Chaleos. Law officers say a national initiative to test old sexual assault kits helped them solve a 40-year-old murder this week. 18-year-old Christine Gallegos was found dead in 1985, beaten, sexually assaulted, and shot to death. Thanks to new forensic ancestry testing, they were able to trace the DNA evidence back to Ricky Lee Stallworth. Police say Stallworth was 27 years old at the time of the murder and was stationed at Hill Air Force Base. Now, Stallworth died of natural causes in 2023, so police are now considering this cold case closed. But more cold cases could soon see a resolution in the coming years thanks to new technology. Steve O'Cam from the Utah Bureau of Investigation says federal grant money and the national effort is helping them work through the state's backlog of cold cases.
So a little bit about SAKI. That's the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative. It's a federal initiative that came to Utah in 2015, really started happening in 2016. We started outsourcing and testing all the backlogged sexual assault kits. Initially in Salt Lake County, then it went statewide. Then we started testing partially tested kits, which had been only gone through serology or other outdated types of technology. So that's how SAKI came to Utah. And over the years, it has evolved. Currently, the SAKI grant, which is a 2020 grant we're at the tail end of, was offered advanced DNA testing for sexually motivated homicides.
Ocam says grant money has enabled them to send off degraded DNA to advanced labs when it's too difficult for the state crime lab to handle.
The goal is seeking justice for victims through trauma-informed investigations and ultimately holding victims or suspects accountable for what they did, no matter how long ago it was. Justice really is timeless in terms of these DNA cases. So that is one of the goals of the National SAKI grant, which will continue on for more years. We just were awarded another one. So hopefully through 2027 or 2028, we'll still be in business doing this kind of stuff. With that being said, handcuffs do not equal healing. So unfortunately in this case, we don't have a suspect to put handcuffs on or anyone to charge, but we hope that our efforts have just given some measure of justice to the victim, her family who is with us today, and their friends and people who loved her.
As in this week's case, often the perpetrator can't be held accountable after so many years, but that isn't deterring their efforts to find out who was responsible.
Literally, it was 40 years ago tonight when she was murdered, and she was found the following morning. So the Salt Lake Police Department and DPS, we review these cases together, or whichever agency we're supporting. And once we determined there was DNA in CODIS, all the evidence had been tested, and we had exhausted every lead, then we went to an outsourced lab, which is Othram Lab. They're out of the Woodlands, Texas. They do a lot of advanced DNA testing, investigative genetic genealogy across the country, not just in Utah. They specialize in degraded DNA and difficult cases. And so that's who was chosen to send the remaining DNA to and try to identify the suspect. And I do want to say and tell the family, the founder and CEO of Othram Lab called me himself the day they had come up with this lead on who they thought it was. That's how much it meant to him. That's how much it meant to us. We get these calls on weekends and nights, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're always exciting. So we appreciate Othram's work on this case, as well as many others they do for Utah.
OCAM says it's also important to note that local law enforcement can't solve cases like this on their own.
The case demonstrates what's possible when local communities receive state and national support. It underscores the critical role that science, technology, which is constantly evolving, data, strategic funding resources play in delivering justice, not just for victims, but for the entire communities we serve, right? Solving cold cases requires public-private partnerships to be successful.
Now, he says such partnerships are important because of the quickly evolving technology and the high cost.
We started outsourcing advanced DNA testing, which that is defined as things not offered by your state crime lab, right? Which every state has the basic functions of the state crime lab. And on top of that is what advanced DNA. So you're looking at like splitting hairs, literally and figuratively, extracting DNA from bones and human remains, and doing genealogy and microarray and whole genome sequencing and all the fancy stuff you see on TV for all these huge cases. So those labs we contract with at the state are funded by the SACI and other grants. And that's kind of how that all comes into play there. So we funded our first case in the end of 2022. That case currently is being prosecuted as probably the oldest homicide case in America. It was a 1972 murder of Greg Nickel in Uintah County, the rape of his date, heinous crime. That's the first one our grant funding solved. There's been 5 total that we've solved over that time period, and we're going to be solving a lot more in the near future. There's some cases nearing resolution as we speak. I just want to say of the 5 that were solved, the average time frame they had been cold was 46.2 years. It's just amazing what technology has helped us achieve. So as of today, the SACI grant in Utah has funded evidence submissions, 31 evidence submissions, 20 different sexually motivated homicides from 7 different agencies in 5 different counties in Utah. We've spent $138,000 in change, and I have to say it's probably one of the best investments of grant money or resources that we've ever made.
He also wants people to know that not only is this work personal to the families of the victims, it's also personal for the officers that investigate these cases.
But we just want victims and their families to know that they have not been forgotten. And even though it may appear like that sometimes, we're working behind the scenes. We have sleepless nights, and we are working to get these cases resolved. And there are a number more. You've seen some lately, and you're going to see some more in the future.
OCAM says the grant money will be available to them for at least 2 more years, so he expects to soon see even more cold cases solved. Midday with Maria Chaleos continues in just 60 seconds.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Average temperatures are getting warmer in Salt Lake City. Jen Brady with the research group Climate Central says the changes mean the types of crops grown could be altered. Brady tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi Salt Lake City has seen the biggest change when it comes to cities in the Southwest.
Basically, we're looking at, a long period of time because obviously year to year temperatures can vary greatly. But over a long period of time, seeing about an 8-degree increase in your minimum temperature in Salt Lake. And what the minimum temperature dictates is, in this context, what you can plant and what survives over the winter.
But she warns there are definitely downsides to warmer temperatures as well.
Well, I think if people forget that cold weather also has it has negative and positive consequences. In the context of planting zones, what it means is that different plants will be able to survive your winters. What we're seeing in the U.S. is a lot of plants from the south now can survive in more northern climates because the ground doesn't get as cold as the winter. You don't have the hard freezes. And so you may be able to grow something that was formerly, considered somewhat tropical in a region like Utah.
But there are also other drawbacks to warmer temperatures. Let's not forget mosquitoes.
Right. The cold will also kill off pests and bugs. And so we're having longer mosquito seasons because there's more time that they can breed. The other thing is that cold temperatures actually help some plants. There's some plants that need freeze time. Some fruit trees, things like blueberries, they actually need some coldness in the winter. And if they don't get enough coldness, they actually won't fruit in the summer. So there is some benefit to cold temperatures for some plants.
Brady also predicts that the city's coldest temps will rise another 6 degrees in the next 30 years.
This is fueled by human-caused climate change. And even if we put the brakes on that right now, there is a lot of gases already in the air that are going to continue to hold these temperatures up in the zone and keep the temperatures increasing.
She says many people enjoy warmer temperatures, especially in the winter, so it's difficult to have a conversation about the negative impacts of climate change.
Issue with talking about climate change in winter is people are kind of excited, right? You're like, oh, this is great. It's going to be warmer. So it's hard to sometimes take in that it's a bad thing that it's getting warmer in winter because so many people enjoy the warmer winters. So you're not alone, not alone.
Again, the average cold temperature in Salt Lake City has risen more than 8 degrees in the past 70 years and is expected to rise another 6 degrees in the next 30 years. Let's take a look at your traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Fire crews have just arrived on a scene of a vehicle fire in the Sugar House area eastbound I-80 prior to 2300 East. Right now, all vehicles are out of traffic on the right shoulder. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com. Affordable windows guaranteed. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Are you looking to invest in your home? Increase its livability, increase its value, increase its curb appeal? Well, doors and windows are a great place to start, and there's no better place to start than Peach Doors and Windows.
Maybe the purpose of your home has changed. Maybe you're an empty nester, or you just want to maximize the view of your home. Bring Peach your wish list. Think about out-of-the-box shapes and sizes. What you can imagine, Peach Doors and Windows can make happen. They can do renovations that other companies simply won't touch.
You can check out all of their 5-star reviews on Google where customers rate Peach throughout every step of the process. From sales to installation, they will make sure you get exactly what you want. Check out their website at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can give them a call, 801-566-1255. They do free in-home estimates.
Or better yet, check them out in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, or check them out online, peachbuildingproducts.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimer.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
We have 5 kids, 2 dogs, and we've bought 4 houses in the last 12 years. So our realtors helped us through the complexities of buying a house, the legalities of different property rights, right-of-ways, building concerns, or even ordinances, right?
If we were to try to do this on our own, we would have made a lot of financial mistakes. The realtor is now part of our family. She's who helps our family get to wherever our next chapter is.
Discover how a realtor can make a real difference at myrealtorstory.com.
This is Midday with Maria Chaleos. Cool stuff in Utah and fun events happening around the Wasatch Front this weekend. John Smith here to talk cool things in Utah. And we kind of teed this up last week. We were talking about the Warm Springs Plunge and how you were doing a video on this for YouTube. Now, that video has dropped.
Right.
So tell us, first of all, about the history of the Warm Springs Plunge. Where is it, and what's the history behind it?
It's such a fascinating part of Salt Lake City because it's right at the north end of Salt Lake City, right there on the Highway 89. And it starts back with the Native American tribes and the fur traders. They had this warm spring that they all just kind of used as they were passing through. It was kind of nobody's but everybody's at the same time. And eventually the pioneers come in and they put a bathhouse on it. And so the women of the of Salt Lake City could bathe inside, and the men could bathe outside. And then eventually that becomes an indoor pool, because that's just what happens, I guess. So in the 1920s, that's where the building we see there now is built, 1921. And it was the first indoor pool in the western United States. And it was one of the first assembly halls in the state of Utah. So you have this giant building, the Spanish-style architecture, just a gorgeous building that they used as a pool until the 1970s. And then it became the Children's Museum. And it's funny because you and I were talking about this. You remember it as the pool. Because I'm showing you this video and you're like, oh, I remember that pool. I remember swimming there.
I do. I spent so many days in the summer with my grandmother. She suffered from arthritis. And so she would like to go and bathe in those pools. They were all in separate rooms.
Yeah.
And she would, sit in those pools for quite some time and just really get relief from that. You just showed me a portion of the video.
You kind of teared up.
Well, it shows the whole place emptied out and just super creepy. And I can just still see her sitting in that pool. And now to see it empty like that, just...
And see, this is the crazy thing. I remember this building as being the Children's Museum because from 1981 to 2006, that's what it was. It was the museum. And so that's where you went and you played with your friends, and that's where you went on field trips.
Yeah, took my kids.
And then in 2006, the museum goes to the gateway and the building is vacant. It's just left empty for 20 years. And that does a lot to a structure. You don't realize how quickly things kind of decay.
Deteriorate, right?
Deteriorate. That's a great word for what's happening.
And what I just saw, it showed huge deterioration.
Right? So you have vandals, you have vagrants, you have all sorts of people stealing the copper wiring out of the walls. But now, thanks to a group called the Warm Springs Alliance, a nonprofit group that has been set up to save this building, they have been applying for grants and taking donations and getting funds both federally and on a state level to save the building. So far they've raised $7 million from the state, and that's going to go to seismic upgrades to repair the damage from the 2020 earthquake and repair the roof, replace the roof, in fact. So now what to do with it? And they either don't know or they haven't said. We don't really know what's coming
They've
next.
got to take advantage of those warm springs.
Yeah, you'd think, right? Because the warm spring is still there.
And people are into these kinds of natural remedies.
Yeah, and you can actually, you can't bathe in it, even though, a lot of people still get in the water. But the warm springs are still there. There is a city-run park, the Warm Springs Park, which has tennis courts and, all sorts of grass areas and stuff like that. And that includes a trail that goes up to and around the Wasatch Spring is what it's officially known as. And it's about 82 degrees. Which is cool, right?
Okay, tell people how they can see your video. They need to go see it.
All right, so you look us up on YouTube. Just look for Cool Stuff in Utah, or just go to the Arrow's YouTube page, 1035 The Arrow is what you want to look for.
Okay, now you have some fun stuff happening this weekend for us.
Absolutely. Cheap Trick playing Red Butte. Oh, my gosh, can you believe that?
And the weather, hopefully, is going to be good.
Saturday, the weather's supposed to hold.
Great.
So Cheap Trick going to be in town. Not a lot of sports going on this week. RSL's on the road this weekend, but they'll be back on the 24th, taking on Vancouver. And then the Bees are out this weekend, but they're coming back. They'll be playing at the ballpark. What is it? The American?
Oh, if you need your music, Phil, that's the place to go.
That's where it's at.
All right. Thanks, John.
You're the best.
We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.